Okay, so when we solve rational equations, you want to determine any excluded values. It's the first thing that you want to do. We're bringing that back from day 1 of this chapter, where you look at the bottom and say, what makes the bottom equal to 0? In the number 1 situation, there are no x's on the bottom, so there'd be nothing. Step 2 would be, if it's a proportion, which it is, cross multiply. You guys have been good at that in the past. Solve. When you solve, you just need to make sure that whatever your extraneous solutions are, whatever you put as your excluded values, is not the answer that you got. Okay, so we're going to give it a go. So here, if my computer will work for me, hold on. Okay, we're going to cross multiply. So I'm going to have 3 times 4, which gets me what number? 12. And then my equal sign. And then I have x times 2, which gets me 2x. Look how easy that is. Now what do I do to both sides? Divide by 2. And I get x equals 6. Very good. That's it. That's how easy this is. Okay, yeah, we're going to do some a little bit harder ones. But go ahead and do number 2. See if you can do it. I feel like this is something you've done in the past. Go ahead and cross multiply. That's not right. Check and see how you did. Hopefully it was easy for you. You cross multiply. When you do these problems, I like to do it kind of how I just did it now. If I see an x, I do that one first, so that way it's on the left side. If you like your variables to be on the left side, if you didn't like the way number 1 looked, then do your variables first. Okay, you don't have to obviously do that, but I just know some people get confused when it looks like this, if that's you. If it's not, then never mind. Okay, let's look at number 3. So same exact thing, but you got to be careful. I would always recommend putting parentheses around like a group when you do these ones, like 3 and 4. I put parentheses around here. Okay, so I see a variable over here, so I'm going to do this guy in red first. Now, I'm just going to write out for the first time how you need to do this, and then maybe you can skip a step on the next one. So you would be 6 times x plus 3. Good there? Equals, and then the other guy, 7 times 4 gets me what? 28. Are we good there? Now we are back to a regular solving problem, okay? So let's go ahead and distribute. So I have 6x plus what? 9. Careful, 6 times 3. 18, good. Equals 28. Good there. And then we solve. Take a minute and see if you can continue solving. Hopefully solving is not too difficult for you. You're going to get a fraction / decimal, and don't worry, it's okay. See if you can get all the way down to there. Now again, if you gave me a decimal, great. I'm okay with that. See if you can press math enter and get yourself a fraction. Remember, you're trying to move everything to the right side, so I have to divide by 6. Sometimes I see people switch it. Okay, so 10 divided by 6, which is a great answer. Or if you reduce it, you get 5 over 3. Okay? Now, I'm going to show you a different way on this next one. It's the same thing, but you're just kind of skipping a step. If you're advanced enough and you feel like you can do this, go ahead. Really, you're just going to be like 6 times x gets me 6x. Just go straight into it. Don't even write that step down if you feel like you could. But then you have to remember 6 times 2 gets me 12. So you're basically just skipping that very first step that we did above. And then equals... what's 5 times 4? 20. Okay, go ahead and solve that on your own. If you like two-step problems, you should be able to do. Move everything away from the x, move the 12, and then move the 6. Again, you will get a fraction or a decimal, and that's okay. You should get x equals 8 over 6, which reduces to what over what? Very good, 4 over 3. So that's my final answer. Again, I will accept decimals, but it is preferred, or on a multiple choice, it will be a fraction form. Questions? Okay, now for number 4, I did forget to do something in the very beginning. When you look at the bottom of your fractions, you have to state what is your excluded values. And if you remember from way back last semester and earlier, what makes x plus 2 equal to 0? Negative 2. Okay, so you also have to, I'm going to put EV here for excluded values. You have to do that. What makes the bottom equal to 0? So technically you'd be doing x plus 2 is equal to 0 and subtracting 2. So x cannot be negative 2. And you guys were good at that last semester. You only have to do that when there is an x at the bottom. Because if you get an answer that is negative 2, it would be no solution. Like if we solved this and we got negative 2, it wouldn't work because it's not a solution. Yeah.
And I got something different because how come with that one you couldn't just distribute? Because I did the x plus 12 parentheses distribute.
You can. So you could do it 6x plus,
Oh, and it would have rounded out to the same.
yeah, and then it would be 6x plus 12. Yeah, you could write it like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you look up here, we didn't have to do that because there were no x's on the bottom, and that's why we didn't have to do the excluded values. So just want to remember to do that. Here, do we need excluded values here? No, because there are no x's on the bottom. So now we can just cross multiply. We're going to be working with a couple x's now. So I have 6x here in black, 6x is equal to, and again, you could distribute, but I'm just going to write it out, 2, it's kind of lagging and I apologize, parentheses x plus 4. Because I don't want you guys to get confused when you look back at your notes by automatically distributing. If you are that person that could distribute right away, please do it. Doesn't bother me. Okay. Now, there are two ways you can do this one, too. You could distribute, or you can divide by 2 right away, if you can. But I'm just going to distribute to stay consistent. So I have 2x plus what on the right side? 8. And then bring over that 6x on the left side. When you get to this for solving, hopefully you remember, you have to put all of your variables or your letters to one side and all your numbers to the other. So my variables over here, there's one here. Because this guy has an 8, I'm going to move him to the left. It just makes it easier. So I'm going to subtract 2x to both sides. If you would have subtracted 6x, that's fine, but then you leave yourself in a really weird pickle where you have 0 equals something. Okay, so that's why I want to move the 2x to the left. And I get 4x is equal to 8. Now what do I do to both sides? Divide. And x is equal to what number then? 2. Remember cross multiplying? Yeah. Go ahead and flip when you're ready. Okay. So first step, when you look at this, you have to say, are there any x's at the bottom so that I have to make excluded values here? Yes. So I'm going to highlight this piece. This guy, I have to talk about him. I'm going to write EV here for excluded values just so that you know. What can't x be? 2. Because 2 minus 2 gets me 0. And if you put in your calculator 3 divided by 0, it's going to say that it's undefined. It doesn't work out. So this is part of your answer here. Okay, that's something that's going to be asked of you. Tell me what the excluded value is. Okay, now we just do it normally. So now we're back to just cross multiplying. So I have 2 times this whole group, 2 times x minus 2 is equal to, in pink, 3 times x. And I want you to take a second and see if you can solve this one, because it's very similar to the one we just did. Very similar to the one we just did.
Yeah, I subtracted the 4 from mine.
And that's okay. You can subtract the 4 or add the 4, but then you have to move the 3x.
Right,
Okay, so yeah, that one is a little different just because they're on different sides. But remember, you want to move everything, all the variables to one side. Well, the guy on the right side doesn't have anything but variables, so let's move the variables to him. Now, if you move the 4 over, that's fine, but then you're left with 2x equals 3x plus 4, and then you'd have to move the 3 over. That's fine. It's gonna be a little bit more steps for you. Okay, so then you would get negative 4 is equal to 1x, or just x, and you're done. Maybe just rewrite it. X equals negative 4. Now, again, if we were to get 2 here, it would be no solution because that's an excluded value, but here that's not an issue. We can have negative 4, and it works out. Okay, let's do it again. Same thing. I want you guys to do actually number 7 because it's the same setup as the ones we've been doing. Number 7 is the same setup. Number 7 is like exactly like number 5. So if you want to refer to one, it looks very close to number 5. Hopefully you at least got here. Careful with your negatives.
I think the hardest part for me is figuring out what number to subtract, because I subtracted the 4x instead of the 6x.
So yeah, that's kind of a habit thing where some people are just so used to moving everything to the right. The goal is this guy, when I look at it, the 4x is alone. The 6x on the right side is not alone. So I'm going to move the 6x to the left side so that all of the x's are on the left side. Because if you think about it, if you move the 4x to the right, you're left with 0 is equal to 10x minus 18. Well, you kind of gave yourself a pickle here because now you got to move some stuff over. Okay, so I would recommend just taking the one that has more than 1 and moving him over. So this guy has only 1, this guy has 2. The left side has 1, left side has 2. And that's why I'm going to move this one to the left side. That's what I see. And then when you divide, you're left with x equals what number? What'd you guys your final answer? 9. Very good. Questions? Sure? Okay. Didn't need excluded values there because there were no x's on the bottom. There was a 6 and a 4, so we didn't need anything here. Okay, look at this next one. I need excluded values right here. This is like the same one over and over again. What can't x be? It can't be 0. And what number would I have to plug in to get 0? 2. So x cannot be 2. But that was a good answer. X cannot be 0. You are right. It cannot be 0. So in order for me to get 0, 2 minus 2 gets me 0. So it's always the opposite sign there. Okay, so now we can cross multiply. This time we're going to have to do distributing twice. So I have 5 parentheses x minus 2. It might be nice to give yourself parentheses here so you don't forget. Is equal to 2x minus 8. Now you could have switched it. You could have had the 2x minus 8 on the left side. That's fine. So now this is just a longer solving problem. So here we go. Let's distribute. 5 times x gets me 5x in purple. 5 times negative 2 gets me negative 10. Very good. Bring down your equal sign. Do it again. 2 times x gets me 2x. 2 times negative 8 gets me good. Okay, now if you look here, compared to the last time, I have 2 on the left side and 2 on the right side. So now they're equal. Okay, so really it doesn't matter what you choose now. Here on the top, you had 1 on the left side and 2 on the right side, so it was easier. Now this one you can kind of manipulate the way you want. It just depends on what you choose. So you personally, like, what would you want to do first? Would you want to move the 5, the 10, the 2, or the 16? It doesn't matter, just choose one. The 2x. Okay, so if you choose 2x, then you'll be able to do that later on. You'll be able to figure out what you need to do. But again, it does not matter at this point right here what you choose to do. You could move the 16 first. You can move the 10 first. It doesn't matter. So I'm going to move the 2x to the left side then. So I'm going to get my letters to the left side is what that's doing. That's gone. And I'm left with 5, 4, 3, so 3x. And then in purple, everything stays the same. I brought down the negative 10, and I brought down the negative 16. And now you're back to where we were above. Okay, so now that you brought the letters to the left side, I now must move this number to the right. You move the letter to the left, I must move the number to the right. So what am I going to do to both sides? Add 10. Very good. Because that goes away. And now I'm left with 3x is equal to negative 6. Good. And now this is an easy step. What do I do to both sides? Divide by 3. And x is equal to?
Negative 2.
Very good. Now see how close that is. Our excluded value was 2. We're okay. As long as it's not a negative 2, we're happy. If we would have gotten 2, then it would be a no solution. Like it wouldn't exist. There is no answer to this problem, is what that means. But we haven't gotten there. Do you have any questions on that one? Remembering how to solve. Okay, this one. If you notice, there are 2 x's on the bottom. There's one here and one here. So we have to talk about both of them first before we do anything. What can't x be in this first one? 1. What can't x be in the second one? Very good. Negative 3. It's the opposite. So that's part of your answer here. You can't have those two. If you solve this problem and get 1 or negative 3, it's a no solution. That's really what that means. Okay, so let's go ahead and cross multiply. So the blues you're going to cross multiply and the yellows you'll cross multiply. It doesn't matter which one you choose to do first. It doesn't. So I'm just going to go 18 x plus 3. Again, it did not matter. You could have done 6 first. And then equals 6 x minus 1. I'm going to give you like a minute or two to just see how far you can get with this based off the one we just did. We just did one like this. See if you can get a couple steps in or all the way through. Take your time. you are at least almost there, and I'll walk you through kind of what my thought process is. Yours could look different. As long as you got the same answer, it's okay. Okay, because some people might have moved the 18 to the right side. Some people might have moved the 54. It doesn't matter what you choose. Okay, as long as there's so many ways to do math, it's hard to teach just one way. But here, I chose to move the 6 to the left because when you do that, you create a positive number. And that's just what my brain was thinking, that because this is a bigger than this one, I chose to move the 6. You could have chose to move the 18 this way. That's fine. And you'll end up getting the same answer as long as you follow the same rules. Okay, but when you subtract, you get 12. Then I'm left with this in purple. I try to color code it. Now that you're looking at this, I now have 2 on this side and 1 on this side. And that's why I have to move something from over here to the right side to balance it out. That's what equations are. You're balancing. And that's why I'm going to move this number, because that's what's over here, a number, to the right side. So I subtracted 54. Now remember, when you have 2 negatives, you basically are adding them. I owe you $6. I borrowed 50 more from you. I now owe you 60. Okay? And then that 12x comes down. Then I divided, and I got -5. Did you do somewhat okay? Did you get really close, or if not all the way through? Got all the way through? Good. Okay. We have one more. And then we are done with the chapter, and you guys can work on your homework. So I'm just going to walk you through it one more time, and then you guys can work on your homework. What can't x be? -7. So those are called excluded values. In the homework, it'll say, and it'll ask you, like, it'll tell you if there's an excluded value or not. Okay? So then you would have, when you cross multiply, again, it does not matter, 5 parentheses x minus 1 is equal to 3 parentheses x plus 7. Because when we cross multiply, this guy in yellow and this guy in blue. Okay, they cross multiply. Now I'm just going to again walk you through what my brain does when I do this. I'm going to distribute first. 5x minus 5 is equal to 3x plus what? 21. Very good. So now we're back to that where we have 2 on both sides. Again, just mathematically understanding that when you're solving, you're balancing. I have 2 on the left side and 2 on the right side. So now it does not matter what you choose. My brain, as a math person, says this 5 is bigger than the 3. So I'm going to move the 3 to the 5 because then it keeps it positive. You could choose to move it the other way. That's fine, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to subtract 3x to both sides. And I get 2x minus 5 is equal to 21. So the only thing that really changed was I moved this to the left side of my equation. Then I do what? To both sides. I add 5. Again, just visually understanding that I have 2 things on the left side and 1 thing on the right side. The right side has a number. So I'm going to move the number to the right side. This guy is a variable. Don't move him. Move the guy that's a number that's the same. So I have 2x is equal to 26. So what does x equal? 13. Careful. So what you do here is you divide by 2. Divide by 2. And you get 13. Okay? All right. The rest of the time, which is about, 10, 18 minutes. It's a lot of time to do your homework. Okay? Please have out paper because it's really hard to do this in your head. Like yesterday's homework, you might have been able to do in your head. This, I can't do that in my head at all. Like, I really would have to write that out. There's just no way. Okay?